Hi, and welcome back to another AnyRPG Development Livestream. In this video series, you can watch the live development of the AnyRPG Engine, a free and open source role-playing game engine designed in Unity and written in C#. If you don't already have a copy of AnyRPG, you can pick one up from anyrpg.org/downloads in both Unity package and source code format. You can also find a free copy of A Lost Soul, the game that I work on in these episodes, at the same page. In this episode, I'll be continuing the work that I've done on the energy and rage system. And in the last episode, we created a new class for it, a power resource class. And we created a few types of resources like energy, mana, and rage. And I fixed some bugs that I had at the end of the last episode, so I'll just demonstrate where we're at and then describe what it is that we want to accomplish in this episode. So the resources are working, and I can go in and I can find, say for example, a fighter character here, and we'll just go log on to the fighter character and we'll see what it's looking like for him now. So for the fighter character, you can see he now has 100 out of 100. He doesn't have like the same mana as he would have before, which would have been about half of his life. And we can see now that Warming Ray, I've set it to cost 25 energy, and Sunbath I've set to cost 50 mana. So if we press Sunbath, nothing happens because he doesn't have mana as a resource, he has energy. And if we press Warming Ray, if you watch this little blue bar up here, it'll hop down to 75 and then it'll slowly refill. So we go 75, 2 seconds later 95, 2 seconds later it's full. So this refills like you would expect an energy bar to refill, but the problem is that it's still blue, it's not yellow yet. So we will need to fix that. Let's jump out to the main menu and go hop on another character here for a second, and we'll take a look at what this looks like from the warrior's perspective. So actually I've got a warrior. Which one do I want to use? This one right here. So we've got this warrior here, and this warrior is in the Sun Temple, and you can see that the warrior actually starts off with a full bar of rage. Once again, it's not showing up as red, it's showing up as blue, but the rage is there and it's slowly draining over time. And that's because if you look at the rage power resource, I actually set the regen per tick to -3. For the energy power resource, we've actually got a positive value, so we can actually have rage drain out of combat. And since the combat regen per tick is 0, then we won't lose rage ever so long as we're in combat. So that's working great. You know, we actually have a rage for a warrior. Once again, we'll have to change the color. And then let's just go take a look at one of our caster classes here for a minute. So we've got a channeler here in the temple. And if we look at our channeler, we can see basically we've got mana and it's matching our health amount, 2210. And if I cast Sunbath, then at the end of the cast here, I will lose 50 mana. So there we go, I got 2160 out of 2210. And you can see that I didn't actually set up any regeneration for the mana. So right now, we have no way to gain mana. Also, the warrior is losing rage, but the warrior has no way to gain it. So in this episode, what we'll be doing is we'll be fixing the colors, and we'll be setting up a way to generate rage and maybe a way to generate mana that's based on like a percentage of your mana. Because what I'm thinking is we've got regen per tick, and I think we can maybe just add like is percentage or something like that. And then we could just regenerate like 1% of our mana per second out of combat, no matter how much mana we have. So let's go ahead. Let's start with the color of the unit frame. So let's go take a look at our unit frame and just see if we have a reference to the bar with a color on it. So this is the bar right here. It's the character mana slider. So let's see if we have a reference on our unit frame to our character mana slider. So this is our mana slider. Perfect. This is the image, so we can set the color. Excellent. So what we want to do is whenever we update this mana slider, we just want to update the color on it as well. So we'll go into our unit frame controller here, and we'll find wherever we're referencing the mana slider. So here we're asking it what its preferred width is. And here we're setting the preferred width. So basically this is where we want to do it. And in this case, well, I'm not going to bother changing the name from something other than mana slider. But let's see, we want to change the color on it. So we have a reference to our current target. So what we want to do is set the mana slider dot color equal to our target, and let's see, we should have a set target function. No, we have target initialization. Follow game object, get follow target. And we have follow transform. Okay. So follow transform is, it looks like probably the only reference we have. We have follow game object as well. Follow game object and follow transform. And my follow game object. Okay, so it looks like follow game object is the way to go. Yeah, perfect. So we'll go back in the code here, and we want to check if the target has a primary resource. So to do that, I think when we set the follow game object, we should get a reference to basically like its character stats or something. Or we can just get a reference to the resource. So let's actually do that. Let's actually keep a reference to the resource color. So we're not doing like a lookup every frame. So what we'll do here is basically we'll keep a private color resource, we'll call that power resource color. And we'll just set it to like color by blue, dot blue by default. And then when we set our follow game object, let's see if there's any way that we set it other than directly there. Perfect. We set target with the set target method, and we set the follow game object. Okay. Actually, look at that. We even get the nameplate unit. Let's see if nameplate unit would be a useful thing for us here. The nameplate unit doesn't have resources associated with it, so that's not super useful. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to get a reference to that color. So to get the color, we'll want to basically grab the character unit. We already have the nameplate unit. We can actually cast the nameplate unit to the character unit. So let's actually do that. So if nameplate unit is character unit, and actually nameplate unit as character unit is character unit, then we're going to do nameplate unit as character unit, and then we're going to find our way to the resource color. So nameplate unit is character unit, and we get the resource color from the base character dot character stats dot let's see, do we have a reference to the primary power resource? We have the amounts and the max amounts. Looks like we don't. But we can actually get that even easier. What we can do is actually we can just interrogate the my character class dot power resource list 0. That's the first power. Alright, so then what we want to do is we want to assign that value, and actually we want the display color. So here we have that reference to our power resource color. So we'll set the power resource color equal to the display color of the character class of the nameplate unit. And we also need to make sure that basically the character class isn't null. So first let's make sure that my base character does not equal null and that the character class does not equal null either. Otherwise we won't be able to access that, and not everything necessarily has a character class, so that should work. Okay, and now we should get resources of the correct color theoretically. Let's hop back in here, take a look at the console, and see we've got an error. So mana slider.color equals, and we called this one again power resource color. And basically, if mana slider.color does not equal power resource color, then mana slider.color is set to power resource color. So let's save that and jump back into the game and just go take a look and see. Do we have a yellow bar on our fighter? Oh yeah, there it is. There is my yellow bar for the fighter. Okay, awesome. So now I have energy and my energy looks like actual energy. Very cool. Okay. Next thing we want to do is we want to jump out and we want to go look at our warrior. Specifically this one. And look at that, now I've got rage, and my rage is draining away because I'm not in combat, and you know what? Let's see what happens. There we go, 79, I'm in combat, and my rage generation like just freezes. Interestingly enough, is our ancient mummy has a character class set, but it's kind of weird. He's got 0 out of 100. I think he's a warrior. I think the character, like the player character, actually has like some special code which gives him full resources when he spawns in. Okay, very cool. So we know that colors are working. So next up, what we want to do is we want to actually have the warrior generate rage. Generation of rage should happen, let's see, I'm just trying to think what's the best way to do this. We can generate rage on ability hit, and we can generate rage on ability effect hit as well. And I'm just trying to think what is like the most logical way to do this. So let's go look. Our warrior's got a weapon, the mace attack, right? And we've got, I believe it's called the two-hand mace attack ability. And that's one-hand mace. We would need the two-handed mace attack ability. Okay, so here we've got an ability, we've got cost, but what if we added power generation to that? Yeah, I think it's going to be the way to go. I think it makes the most sense to actually add power generation to both the ability and the effects. And so we don't have to use both, but I think it's good to have just the option anyway. So let's do that. Under cost, we'll actually duplicate this section and we'll have power generation. So we'll go down to animated ability here, and this is actually part of base ability, and we'll look for the cost heading. And we'll copy it, and we will call it power generation. And let's see, we already have power under cost, power resource name, so we will call this the generate power resource name. And we will keep a reference to the generate power resource. And this will be the resource to refill when this ability hits the target. And set, let's see, base resource gain, a fixed amount of the resource to gain. And we'll do resource gain per level. An amount of the resource to gain that is multiplied by the caster level. Okay, good. So now we've got options for gaining a resource. So let's just let that appear in our serialized properties here. And we will generate rage from this. And we're going to generate 10 points of rage. Actually, resource gain per level, I want that to default to 0. So basically, we will generate 10 points of rage per swing, or per hit. Okay, and the next thing we want to do is we have two abilities. We have on the warrior Berserker Strikes. So what we'll do is we will set the cost of Berserker Strikes to 30 rage, and it will generate none. And then we want to set the cost of Double Strike to 20 rage, and 0 per level, and no resource gain. Okay, that's good. So now we have a way with our regular attacks to generate rage, and we have a way to spend it with our Berserker Strikes and Double Strike abilities. So now we actually need to go ahead and generate the rage on hit. So let's do that. With our base ability, we have performability effects, and actually we have, yeah, that's probably going to be the best way to do it, like performability hit. Yeah, so we'll look for performability hit. That's actually going to be in animated ability. So let's go to the implementation of base ability, look for animated ability here, and there. So right here, we handle the ability hit. Let's see where we're calling this from. So this is only called as part of the character combat attack hit animation event. Technically though, we want to be able to generate rage off abilities even that aren't necessarily animated abilities. So what this does is actually we're returning performability effects. And if we go to the definition of that, that's probably about the closest thing. Performability effects, let's just find all references to this. In an instant effect ability, we're performing it. We also perform it on cast. Yeah, so this is going to be the place we want to tie it in then, basically. Perform ability effects is basically the hit of the ability. It's only ever called from an animation hit or an instant effect cast. So let's stick our stuff in there. So basically, here we perform all the ability effects. Here we check if it hit. Good, so right here, we'll insert it and we will basically generate power resource. So to generate the power resource, what we want to do is we want to give the ability caster a method that allows it to receive information about the hit and then do something with it. Let's see if I can find character stats here. Because character stats is where we can add that resource. So let's see which code and character stats we actually want to call here. So we actually have this recover mana. Which, funny enough, actually doesn't even recover mana. This should actually say recover primary resource, so I'm just going to change that. And the code that we want to call here actually is set resource amount. We can also call set primary resource amount, but I want to call set resource amount. So we want to call set resource amount from the character ability manager. So we'll call this source.generatePower, and we will hand in this, because we are an ability. And in the character ability manager, we will create a new method, generate power. So right here, we will do a public void generate power, accepting an I ability. And if our base character does not equal null and our base character dot character stats does not equal null, then we will call our base character dot character stats dot and then let's go find the method we're going to call set resource amount. And we will call the ability, actually if our ability dot, and in this case we need to actually add a bunch of fields to iAbility because this stuff is all in base ability currently. So let's just go find those fields, if I can find them in here. Power generation. So what we'll do, oh, you know what? These fields aren't even exposed. What we want is generate power resource. We need to expose that. And we need to expose base resource gain and resource gain per level. And then we'll just set these all to public. And we will then add them to the iAbility interface. And then we'll just set them as get and set. Okay, good. And then now we actually have a way to refer to them. So if ability dot power generate power resource is null, then we're just going to return nothing to generate. And otherwise, we are going to set the resource amount based on the ability dot generate power resource dot my name, and the ability dot generate power resource dot, and actually we need to do something about this. We basically need to multiply the amount per level times the character level and add it to the base amount. So to do that, let's see if we already have a way to do something similar to that. In the base ability, we should accept an I ability caster. And then perform that calculation. So we have get resource cost. This is exactly what we want. We also, now we want get resource generation. So we're going to be using our base resource, I think generation. Base resource gain, that was it. So base resource gain plus ability caster times level plus resource gain per level. Okay, good, and that'll give us the amount that we're supposed to be generating. So then we can call get resource, you know what, let's call that get resource gain. And we'll also have to add get resource gain to the iAbility interface. And now we can say ability dot get resource gain based on the iAbility caster, which is this. Okay, so that should allow us to generate power whenever we perform a hit, if there is power to be generated. So let's save all that, and then now what we need to do is just make sure that this generate power method is available through the iAbility caster interface. And we will then need to add it to the base ability caster. Or the base ability manager. So we'll go to the base ability manager and we will make it a public virtual void, and just do nothing for now. And then that way it's available to everything that uses that interface. And then what we want to do is we actually want to make that one an override. And we'll just call the base, even though nothing actually happens in there, in case we add something to there in the future. And now I think we have a way to generate rage. So let's press play and go hop on the warrior and see if we can generate some rage. So I'm just going to let that rage pool sort of go down a little bit. If I look at Berserker Strikes, it's got a cost of 30 rage. Double Strike has a cost of 20 rage. Perfect. And then this ability right here, with its description, doesn't specify how much power it generates. I think we should probably put that in there. Into the description, basically like generates X, Y, Z of whatever resource. Okay, great. So now we've got 0 rage. So let's go see our spider friend here and hit him. And I'm actually not generating any rage, at least not that I can see. And if I hit number 3, nothing happens because I don't have any rage. So let's see what happened there. So I guess first to generate power get called. It did. So let's just throw a debug in there. And I want to know basically what ability. And then I also want to know that we're going to be generating power. And I want to know how much. And I want to know the name of the ability. Or the name of the resource. Okay, good. So then let's go to the definition of get resource gain. And then we'll just throw some debug messages in here as well. And the resource gain should be working there. So we have ability caster.level. And I want to know the gain here as well, resource gain per level, and just see if any of these amounts look off at all. And then in the character stats, I just want to make sure that when we set the resource amount, we are setting on primary resource amount changed. And we know that that function's working because we actually saw our rage count down, so we know that that these notifications basically are being sent out. And we should see a subscription here from unit frame controller. So that's all good. Okay, so let's just watch the debug messages and see if we can see why we're not generating rage. So we'll just let that count down to nothing again. Actually, you know what? We don't even need to do that. All we need to do is just go get in combat and start whacking this thing. Alright, hit him and generate power. Hey, the ancient spider is actually supposed to be generating some power too. Okay. So I'm attempting to generate power for a two-handed mace attack, and you know why? That's so silly. Because in the ability, in the generate power resource, there's actually a section down here where I'm supposed to be setting that. And I totally forgot to set it, that's why. In fact, we'll probably even see the enemies start to generate rage now as well. Actually, no, we won't, because their abilities probably don't have rage set on them yet. So we have power resource, and I can't remember what I called the other one. I think it was like gain power resource, generate power resource. Okay, so generate power resource is null if generate power resource name is not null and is not string.empty, then tmp power resource is based on generate power resource name. If that's not null, then generate power resource dot add, and now we should no longer have a null resource, and we should be able to actually generate our rage. Okay, so let's go try this out. We're going to run up. We're going to hit the spider. Oh yeah, look at that. We generated some rage. We got 26. Oh, you know what? Hey, look at that. We're actually resetting to 0 on like every swing. We shouldn't be doing that. So that's interesting. Gain 0. Oh, that's resource gain per level. Okay, yeah. And we don't care about that because we just want base resource gain. Why don't we actually put that there as well? Just so I'm not scaring myself with debug messages. Okay. Now, here we go set resource amount, and we go to the definition. I don't understand it. We're just asking to add to the current value. Which means we shouldn't be basically going down to 0. So let's actually see this here. This GameObject.name.character stats.set resource amount. And we are setting resource name and new amount. You know what, I think it's actually this right here. Or maybe not. Is this supposed to be max and current? Let's go to the definition of that. Find all references. When we subscribe to it, we are expecting max and current. Okay. And in fact, what I'm even going to do is say, yeah, there, max. Summary. Accept a resource amount changed message. So let's just see what the current one is. And then let's take a look at it right at the end too, just to see if it changed. So interestingly enough, current is going to 0, or is 0 at the beginning of this function, and then it's 10 after. So that's interesting because I don't see like where we would set it. Let's find all references to that and just see where we're setting that. We might actually be setting it when we're doing the swing. So if I do the two-hand mace attack here, let me just take a look at that and look at the resource cost for that. The cost is 5 per level with no resource. We might just be attempting to use the primary resource kind of carelessly there. So I think we need to go to our base ability for that. And I think we call it use power or something. We have generate power. And we used to have use mana. Let's just go into character stats here. We have use primary resource. You know, I'm interested to see if we have any other use resources here. Do we have use resource? I don't think we do. We only have use primary resource. Okay, that's probably the problem. So let's find all references to that. Yeah, right there. Okay, so when we perform the ability, we're asking it to use the primary resource. But what we actually want is a different resource. So let's go to the definition of that. We're just going to rename that to use power resource. And we actually want the power resource in there, as well as the used resource amount. We'll ask the dictionary for not the primary resource, but the power resource. And let's go back to where we got that value from. So when we do the get resource cost, we also want to make sure that the ability dot power resource does not equal null. And then in the use power resource, we will send in the ability dot power resource. And now we should no longer be setting our power back to 0. Now, one of the issues is we actually got a resource cost. And the resource was null. So first, actually, we want to check actually that the power resource does not equal null. Because if we're not spending a resource, then there's no reason to be returning a value. That value is always 0 if there's no resource. Okay, so between those two fixes, we should now return 0, and we should never even call that thing anyway. So let's check that out and see if that's working now. We'll just let everything compile here. Alright, we'll jump back on our warrior. We got some rage. We're going to run into combat. We're going to play Whack-A-Mummy, and now we're at 100 rage. Heck yeah. And we can cast Berserker Strikes, and we lose 30 rage, and we lose 50 if we cast double hit, and we're just going to blind our friend the mummy here, and he's probably going to kill us. Yeah, because these abilities, I put them on super long cooldowns. Ah, die, mummy. Oh no, he killed me at the last minute. Okay, perfect. So, honestly, my character should lose all his rage when he dies. Cool. So, you know what? Let's actually do that. When my character dies, we want him to lose all his rage. Let's just get rid of some of these debug messages first. Okay, so when our character dies, let's see character stats. I think I'm going to rename this method to add resource amount. And then I think I'm going to create a method that actually literally sets it, because I don't think we have a method that just sets it directly, and I want, let's see, we have set health, recover health. don't think we can reset it to the current amount, but that's not what we want to do. So yeah, we'll create that. And this one will actually be called legitimately set resource amount. And then here, we're just going to set it directly equal to whatever the new amount should be. And then now what we can do is when we go into the character stats, we've got the update method here. And we have a perform resource regen. So I think I want to do something a little bit different. Let's see, what do we want to do? Do we want to lose all of our resources on death? I think we do. I think we definitely do. And we actually die like right in character stats. So we can actually make a protected virtual void clear power amounts. And what we'll do is for each power resource, we will just set power resource. No, you know what? For each power resource node in power resource dictionary.values, power resource node, we actually, you know what? No, we actually do want to do power resources because basically I want to do this in a way that they're going to get their values reset. So set, we have a set primary resource amount. We actually need set resource amounts. Here we'll just be setting this to 0. Let's go to the definition of set primary resource amount. Okay, no, we just want to call set resource amount. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and for set resource amount, we want to pass in 0 and the resource name. So power resource dot my name and 0f. And then we just want to run this clear power amounts on die. So when we die, we will clear the status effects, and then we will clear power amounts. Okay, good. Let's try that again. We'll head into the dungeon and we will attempt to get our character killed, and we'll just make sure that they lose all their rage. Okay, so run up to the mummy, get ourselves in combat. Now we're gonna stop. Wow, Wow, this mummy is just destroying me. Just like whack, whack, whack. Alright, and boom, dead with 0 rage. Perfect. Okay, let's revive. I'm actually just kind of curious to see what happens. Do I gain any rage at all? I think when I reset my amounts, it does. It gives me full rage when I... We don't want that. Okay, so... This part was good. We lost all our rage on death. But we gained it all. Let's find all references to reset primary resource amount. When we level up, we gain a full bar of whatever our resource is. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But we don't want to do that on revival. On revival, we'll reset our health to full. That's fine. But I do not want a full bar of resource. We just died. We don't have energy. We don't have rage. Well, actually, we probably have a lot of rage, but not that type of rage. So let's try this again. We're going to go in. We're going to die. We're going to lose all our rage. We're going to come back to life. We're going to hopefully have 0 rage, and then we're going to go out and we're going to generate some rage, and then we are going to destroy that mummy. And also, our mummy needs to do a blood spurt ability, so I want the ancient mummy attack, and we're just going to make it a little more interesting. So the ancient mummy attack ability just does the ancient mummy attack effect, which doesn't do anything else. What we will do with the ancient mummy attack effect is on hit, we will do blood squirt. And let's just make sure that blood squirt is an ability effect. Perfect. And it's got no audio. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Okay. Let's just look at blood here. Yeah, so there's this blood splash. And that's actually supposed to go along with a blood squirt, I think. But I don't see the blood splash like an audio or something here. Okay, you know what? Take damage blood. What does this do? Take damage blood does the flesh impact light. Which is slightly different than the blood squirt. I think I'll do that then actually. So in the mummy attack, we'll actually do take damage blood. Because at least that way it's got a sound associated with it for now. Okay, so in combat, Spider's killing us. Spider's not nearly as tough as the other guy, so this is taking a lot longer. We're keeping our rage. You'll note we're not actually taking any rage on damage. What I will very likely do for the whole rage on damage scenario is I'll actually make that like a character trait of the class that does like a reflect ability, and just basically causes rage to himself. Let's revive. Make sure we still have no rage. Good, we have health. We're going to hit the spider. We're going to hit him again. 20 rage. We're going to hit him again. 30 rage. And now we should be able to cast Berserker Strikes. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. And hit him once more. And 7 rage, and we're losing it out of combat. Perfect. This is good. I'm definitely good with this so far. So, next up, we need to fix the caster's mana regeneration. So let's go ahead and do that. On our power resource, we have regen per tick. We're going to add a bool here, and regen is percent equals false. And what we'll say is if true, the regen per tick is a percentage of the maximum resource amount. And then we're also going to do the same thing for the combat regen per tick. So combat regen is percent equals false. And if true, the combat regen per tick is a percentage of the maximum amount. Perfect. So now what we can do is we can go over to mana, and I want to set out of combat you'll get, let's see, 10% of your mana back per second. Sorry, 2%. And in combat, 1%. So go to the mana power resource here, and the regen per tick will be 1%, and the, no, 2%, and the combat regen per tick will be 1%. So we'll save that, and now let's go back to our Sunbath ability. And Sunbath is costing mana, and I don't want a base cost. I want Sunbath to take approximately 10% of your mana at any level, so resource cost is going to be 10 per level. Because essentially you basically get like 100 mana per level, so this is a percent. And actually no, you know what, I don't want to do that for Sunbath. Sunbath actually doesn't have a mana cost. It's a inherent Sunsworn ability. And actually for power generation, I think I want to turn that down to 0. Yeah, you know what, I already did. Okay. So then we will go into our character stats when we actually perform the regeneration. So, right here, if, and we'll actually want to expose those properties. So in the power resource, we will expose regen as percent and combat regen as percent. And now that we've got those exposed, we can actually use them here. So if power resource dot combat regen is percent, then we're going to do a special case here. And same thing here, if our power resource dot regen is percent, then we're going to do a special thing as well. So to get the percentage, what we want to do is we want used regen amount equals power resource dot regen per tick multiplied by the power resource dot, we want to get max amount. Do we have get max amount? We don't. That's in get power resource max amount. Of the power resource. Okay, perfect. And, okay, just a second. No, we want that as percentage. So okay, so for percentage, we want 3 to be 3%. So we're going to multiply it by power resource dot regen per tick over 100. Yeah, that'll work. So basically, whatever your maximum power amount is, like let's say it's 2,000, and you want 5% of that, then you're going to multiply it by 5 over 100. Okay, I think that's the right math there. And then here we want combat region per tick because this is combat, and then we have out of region per tick. Okay, I think that'll work. Now I need an ability to cost a pile of mana. So Channeler learns a healing ability. Let's make that healing ability cost a bunch of mana. Channeler character class learns infused light. So what we want to do is take the infuse light ability, give it a cost of mana, and we'll make it cost basically like about 10% of our total mana. I think that's good. That will be very obvious. So let's jump back into the game now. We'll jump on our channeler. We will cast Infuse Light. We'll lose 10% of our mana. And since we're out of combat, it should regen over like 5 seconds or something. So Shift 3, Infuse Light. Good. There we go. Wow, that was super, super quick. Okay, now let's go aggro the boss here. And then we're going to cast a spell on him. We're going to cast Infuse Light on ourselves a few times to get rid of all of our mana. 76, 77, 78. Man, this is like crazy regen in combat. It's like way more regen than you actually need, I think. I could probably make the spells a lot better. Oh yeah, by the way, if you haven't seen this new dungeon, there's actually line of sight mechanics added in the engine now. So you can actually like run around the block and hide from the guy, and it's actually part of the strategy. Essentially what happens is like he'll have a few seconds after every cast. So if you wait until he starts casting and then run away, you'll have like 3 or 4 seconds to attack him. Whereas if I just like if I just keep running, and so he never actually catches up to me and never gets a chance to stop and start that cast, sometimes he will. Okay, cool. Anyway, out of combat and in combat regen is working now. Now, let's do something kind of fun. I want to take the fighter class, and I want to add another type of resource to it. I just want to see if this works just for fun here. So we have energy as a power resource, right? Let's duplicate that, and let's actually make combo point power resource. Now, this won't actually show because we don't have it built in. Call this combo point, and we'll have these things, I don't know, green. So there will be no regen, and the maximum amount of combo points will be 5. And if we look at our fighter character class here, our fighter learns a bunch of stuff. Why don't we let unarmed attack, no, what we want, we'll do jab. I think our fighter knows jab already. This is the jab animation. And this is the jab ability. The jab ability is automatically learned. It's not automatically learned. Okay. Oh, you know what? Right, that's fine. Okay, I know our fighter knows jab. So let's have jab generate combo point, and we will have jab generate 1 combo point. Jab will cost energy with a base cost of 20 and a resource cost per level of 0. And then Rising Sun Punch is going to cost 3 of those combo points. So let's find the Rising Sun Punch. And the cost will be combo point, base resource cost of 3. Okay, so this is actually a secondary resource, and if we go to the fighter, let's actually add that. So we have the fighter character class, and he's going to have 2, and his second is going to be combo point. Perfect. Okay. So theoretically, it won't show up on his bar, but we'll actually see them. We will see the resource cost on like the mouse over tooltip. So let's go ahead and go find our fighter here. And I actually want to bring our fighter over to the dungeon because I actually want to generate some combo points and just see for fun. Let's find jab here. We'll put jab on the first spot in our bar here, and the cost is 20 energy. And then we have Rising Sun Punch, and the cost is 3 combo point. Okay, perfect. So let's get out of here and go to the dungeon. Actually, you know what? Let me just go back to the main menu and let me just see if I've actually got a fighter. I might have a fighter that's already in the Sun Temple. There he is. You know what I do? No, sorry. I want a fighter who's in the Temple of Ancient Energy. There we go. We've got one. This guy over here. Perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put jab over here. We're going to use up energy, and then hopefully we'll actually be able to cast Rising Sun Punch after we've got 3 combo points. So we're going to go jab, 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 Rising Sun Punch. Oh, beauty. I'm going to blind this guy, and I can cast Warming Ray. Oh, he's going to like completely destroy me. This Rising Sun Punch is actually on a really long cooldown. Okay, I want to test this again. Oh, and you know what? Look at that. My character is regenerating energy while he's dead. He should not be doing that. And also, I honestly have no idea where that's coming from. I'm going to have to fix that. But let's go back to our character stats and our perform regen. So if base character equals null, or base character.character unit equals null, or is alive is false. You cannot regen stats when you're dead. We're not allowing it. Oh, I know where that bind elemental was. That was when I mounted up. I have to fix that at some point. Okay, so we'll go back to our fighter here. Here's our fighter, Temple of Ancient Energy. So we've got 20 energy. We're going to run up to this guy. We're going to try to do Rising Sun Punch, and it doesn't work. I'm tapping the button, nothing's happening. So 1 hit, not working. 2 hits, not working. 3 hits, and boom, Rising Sun Punch. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to die, and I lose all my energy, and I stop regenerating energy. And now I can revive. And then as soon as I revive, I should start basically gaining energy again. I'm alive, 15 energy, 20 energy. I get some combo points. Man, this guy's getting destroyed. He's so weak sauce. Okay, let's see if I can hit this Rising Sun Punch. I didn't even last long enough. Okay, maybe we'll try this again, actually, because I'm going to lose all my combo points again. Okay. Hit him with Rising Sun Punch, no. Jab 1, jab 2, jab 3, and Rising Sun Punch. Boom! Combo points, my friends, we got them. They're not showing up on the bars, but you can now add secondary resources. So, you know, if you wanted, you could do this like a Death Knight where you gain like runes, and you could actually have abilities do different types of runes. Like you could have like death runes and frost runes and all sorts of different types of power resources. So I think that's working. In general, I am definitely pretty happy with it. So, as always, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, don't forget to thumbs up the video, subscribe to the AnyRPG YouTube channel, or just leave a note in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.